So in this video, we're going to discuss whether or not Coach Thibs' decision to go with Quentin Grimes as the starting two guard, is it the best option for the Knicks headed into the season? I'm going to provide a slight pushback. I don't think it is. So let's talk about it. Man, welcome to the channel. I am the Objective Fan, straight out of Kings County, New York City's finest, and you know the vibes. And we're here talking about Quentin Grimes. But before we do that, if you're new, hit that subscribe button, all right, and that bell icon. But look, this video was spawned based on the media day decision by Coach Thibs. He said, yes, I'm going with Quentin Grimes. You know, he's going to be my consensus starter because, you know, basically if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He was the guy last year. They won 47 games. And, you know, it just makes sense to come out with the same lineup that got you, brought you to where you landed in the playoffs. I understand that logic, and I do think it makes sense. However, based on some other things I would like to discuss, I do want to give a slight pushback to that. First off, I don't like how passive he is. He doesn't have that mind state yet to be to activate his inner dog. I'm not saying he doesn't have it. But, the last preseason game against the Celtics, and I know it's preseason, it doesn't mean much. I don't really care about stats. I don't really care about wins, right? But at the same time, in my opinion, he looked like he wasn't trying to become more engaged in the offense. He didn't start doing a little bit more until he played with the second units. He was able to get some threes and stuff like that. But when he was playing with even the bench, the regular bench guys, he wasn't really looking for a shot. And, there was one play where Randall was looking at him, wanting him to cut, move, to get, create a passing lane for him to get the ball so he can create. And he just wasn't looking to shoot. I do respect that, even though they got the new contracts with Donte and Josh Hart, and I understand it's a lot of pressure when you pay these guys that much money to start them typically. I like how he's giving Grimes a fair shake, and lineups can change. And I'm proposing that the Knicks make a change. I honestly believe Josh Hart is the best option to start on this team with the regular start lineup of RJ, Brunson, Randall, and Mitch. What you guys don't understand is that, or I'm not saying you don't understand it, what you guys need to realize is that, first off, started 5 games in the playoffs out of the 11 games they played. He averaged a double-double as a starter, which is powerful. Could you imagine? And I'm not saying he's going to do it all season long, but if he's giving you 11 points, 9 rebounds, that's going to help. That can help add an extra win or two on top of that 47. They went 3-2 with him as the starter. Grimes went 3-3. But before I continue dropping that sauce, definitely you have to check out the hottest new podcast on these YouTube streets this week inside the NYK. It is fire. Listen, we cover the Knicks 365, right? 7 days a week. We divide it up and we put it into a podcast form once a week. We'll give you 50 minutes. We'll give you the Knicks. Watch it, and you'll be caught up to date. Because listen, I understand, you're busy, you got family, you can't watch all 82 games. So that's why you check out the podcast for 50 minutes. You can listen to it on your way to work. Think about it. You got an hour commute. Within 50 minutes, you'll know everything that happened with the Knicks. So now, when you're having conversations with your friends, you could act like you know what's going on because you checked out This Week Inside the NYK. And then you can share that with other Knicks fans so they can stay up to date. And I try to drop the podcast on Mondays, so look out for it. Every Monday, you'll get a podcast, This Week Inside the NYK. And the only way to get it is right here on YouTube right now. So subscribe so you won't miss it. And I'm not putting any loss on Grimes as if it was Grimes' fault that he was a starter. But what I will say, I feel like the move to Hart came late. I think that if he was going to make the move to Hart, he should have made the move sooner, especially when Grimes is healthy. That destroys a young player's ego. Hart also, during the season and even in the playoffs, he closed out most of the games. Either him or IQ, right? Mostly him, right? And so my logic is you want to win the first quarter. The only way to do that would be to go with the guy that's the best option. And in my opinion, Josh Hart is that guy. It's not a fluke that he closed games. Grimes rarely closed games unless it was like a blowout. But, typically it's between IQ and Hart or both of them. I do have a question. Do you honestly believe Josh Hart would be the best option to start alongside Brunson and RJ? Let me know what you think in the comments box, right? And this is no shade to Quentin Grimes. I'm rooting for Quentin Grimes. I want him to do well because if he does well, the Knicks do well. And if the Knicks do well, we're Knicks fans, that's going to make us happy. Now, the other two options, I don't think he's as polished as these guys. And IQ is one of those guys. Here's what I mean by polished. So first off, IQ was a six-man candidate. And I understand that's probably going to be the reason why he won't start, which makes sense. If you tell me that, hey, IQ, he went for six-man last year, we think he get it again, let's keep him on the bench. All right, that makes sense. But he can score. He's not as great as a playmaker in terms of making opportunities for other players because he looks for his shot, but he's capable of doing that too. But in this role, he's not going to be the main point guard. It's going to be, of course, Jalen Brunson, right? Or if he comes off the bench, then maybe he'll get it because in the preseason game, they was riding Quickley as the point guard more than they did Donte. So he can play alongside Brunson and RJ. He was averaging like 19, 20 a game as a starter, right? Whether he played with RJ or he played with Brunson. And he showed the versatility that he can play between those two guys. And those two guys are your best players, right? Now, for you advanced analytical dudes, he had a defensive rating of 107.3, which was one of the best on the team, if not the best on the team. And he also had a net rating of +6. Now, net rating I like. I think that's a better stat to me. I'm an advanced analytic guy. If you watch the channel, I kind of, there's some that are important, but some are just like, so you can make anybody look like better than what they actually are. I prefer the eye test. I'm old school in that way. I go with the eye test, right? So that's why Quickly would honestly be a more polished option, but he won't get the starting job because they like him better off the bench, and he could compete for that sixth man of the year again this year. Now, Donte DiVincenzo, right? Now, Donte, in my opinion, because he got the contract, that'll be enough right there just to justify the switch. So, like, if they would have came out on media day and said, "Hey, we're gonna go with Donte as the starting guard next to Brunson," y'all would have been saying, "Oh, the Villanova connection," and this team is Jalen Brunson's team. I actually did a video on that. Go check that out. Why I say I think it was a short. Why I say Jalen Brunson, this is his team, right? But at the same time, no one would have tripped. No one would have tripped if they came out and said, "Yeah, we're gonna go with Donte DiVincenzo as the starting two guard." Now, another reason why I think he's more polished than Grimes. Not that Grimes can't become a better player, but right now he's more polished. He's more experienced. He has 7 years in the league, right, as opposed to Grimes 3 years. He played with the defending world champions, which was the Golden State Warriors last year, right? So he's played with Steph. He's played with in some serious competition, serious games. They went to the second round last year. He also played with the champion Milwaukee Bucks. He started like 60-something games with that team. So he was an impactful player on that team. He also had a career high in points as a Milwaukee Buck that same year. Now, his playoff performance may not have been as great, but the bottom line is he has that experience starting with a championship caliber team. So in my opinion, that makes him more polished, right? You got to consider, once again, putting out your best lineup to win first quarters. And I'm not knocking Quentin Grimes. I don't want, because I already know it now. I see it now. People, "Oh, why are you saying this about Grimes? Why, you don't like Grimes?" Listen, I like everybody who's a New York Knick. I support all the players. I'm not a part of nobody hive. I'm not a part of the RJ crew, the whatever crew. I'm not a part of none of that. All I'm saying is I don't believe that Quentin Grimes should be the consensus starter or the default starter, as if these other guys are not options, right? Or shouldn't be considered to be options, right? And then it's not like I'm saying, "Oh yeah, we need to start Deuce McBride or something like that." Shout out to Deuce. I like Deuce. I got a video coming up with Deuce in a second. I'm gonna talk about Deuce and the value he brings to the team. But before we, move on any further, I know you like the white Knicks hat. I know you like that, but look what I got to go with it. The NY I Bleed Orange and Blue shirt. Definitely check it out. The hottest Knick fan merch store on the net. shop.theobjectiveknickfan.com. This is like my favorite shirt. But also that beige NY I Bleed Orange and Blue hoodie is fire. And you need one now, especially if you go into the garden. You want people to be like, oh, where do you get that from? And then you can say, I got it from shop.theobjectiveknickfan.com. And, definitely support. My merch is not, outrageous. Some people charge crazy prices. I want the fans to look nice for a nice price. And we have a 10% discount on top of the nice price. So the only way you can check that out, you got to go to the website, man. And I would appreciate your support. So to close out, I'm not a Quentin Grimes hater. I'm not a part of any group. I'm not an IQ guy. I'm not an RJ guy. I like everybody. RJ, I like RJ. I'm a little closer with RJ because I follow him from Duke. I'm a Duke fan. So, but outside of that, I'm for the team first. What's going to make the team better? I think those other three options would be better off for the team. That's all. Especially when you're going up against, think about it, you're going up against these high-powered lineups. Milwaukee got a high-powered lineup with Dame, Giannis, Middleton, Brook Lopez, right? Boston Celtics is coming with Drew Holiday, Tatum Brown, and KP. So you want to make sure that you can match these guys. So you come up with your own high-powered lineup with Hart, with Brunson, RJ, Randall, Mitch. Oh my God, expect big things out of Mitch. But look, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching up to this point. I really do appreciate it. If you already watched to this point, you might as well subscribe. So you definitely subscribe, hit that bell icon so you get all your notifications. Of course, like the video because more people will see the video. That's all for this video. Until next time, let's go Knicks!